things kicked off with what's up this week with soccer. Auburn soccer opens SEC play and takes down Vanderbilt. The Tigers played again on Sunday, and after more than 2 hours of weather delays, they went on to defeat the Baylor Bears 1-0. History was made Friday night in Auburn soccer as Casey Ramzier surpassed Katie Frierson in all-time shots taken in Auburn program history. Ramzier now has 231 on her career. Free food. Head men's basketball coach Bruce Pearl, along with some of the Auburn soccer parents, will be hosting a barbecue for students at the Auburn Soccer Complex this Sunday starting at 5:30 prior to the soccer team kicking off versus South Carolina at 6. Wings and ribs will be served. Women's volleyball went 2-for-1 this weekend in the Auburn Invitational. Auburn swept both Memphis and Jacksonville, but struggled against Miami, Ohio, losing the match 3-2. Volleyball will be back in action this weekend in the Michigan Invitational. First serve is set for 6 on Friday. Up next, we'll get into our fantasy football competition. You're watching Tiger Tally on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6.
The number 18 Auburn Tigers returned home Sunday afternoon to face the 6-7 Mississippi State Bulldogs at the Auburn Soccer Complex. The Tigers dominated the game, winning 3-0. The first goal of the game came in the 27th minute by Ellie Leak. The Tigers struck again 10 minutes later when Brooke Ramzier scored off of a corner kick. Then, in the second half, Kristen Dodson put the game away for the Tigers, scoring in the 60th minute off of a header. Auburn had 20 total shots throughout the game, only having 7 saved by Mississippi State. Auburn's defense also showed their dominance, allowing only 4 shots by the Bulldogs, all which came in the second half. Tiger fans packed the stands on the sunny afternoon in support of Auburn. I'll be joined in the fun by helping during a halftime match between local soccer teams. The fans and Auburn players cheered for senior goalie Allie Scott when she came into the game during the second half, having the lone Auburn save of the game. This is Auburn's 5th straight win. They will look to extend their win streak on Friday when they face the Arkansas Razorbacks at 7 p.m. For Eagle Eye Sports, I'm Sarah Polcheski.
It was a week full of wins in Auburn sports. I'm Sarah Polcheski, and this is Eagle Eye Sports. Auburn football took on the LSU Tigers in Jordan-Hare Stadium this past Saturday. The Auburn offense struck first after Daniel Carlson made a 51-yard field goal midway through the first quarter. LSU responded by driving down the field for a touchdown. However, Auburn bounced back with 3 more Daniel Carlson field goals to take the lead, 12-10 halfway through the third quarter. LSU took the lead after a field goal, but Daniel Carlson stepped up to the occasion yet again with 2 more field goals in the fourth quarter to take the lead 18-13. On LSU's last drive, they drove down the field to the Auburn 10. On 4th and 6, the offense hurried to the line to get the playoff. LSU snapped the ball and threw it in the back of the end zone for the win. At least for a moment, everyone thought they did. After a review, the offense did not get the playoff in time, and Auburn came away with the victory. This win brings Auburn to 2-2 for the season and drops LSU from the AP Top 25. In response of the loss, LSU fired head coach Les Miles. Auburn's next game will be at home against the University of Louisiana Monroe for a homecoming. Kickoff is at 2:30. Yesterday, Gus Malzahn announced that defensive end Paul James III will likely miss the rest of the season with a knee injury. James has 3 total tackles so far this season. Soccer hit the road this weekend for key SEC matchups. On Friday, they took down the 12th-ranked Florida Gators in Gainesville for the first time in program history, winning 3-0. 2 of the goals came from Kristen Dodson. The Tigers then traveled to Athens and defeated the Bulldogs 4-1. Kristen Dodson again netted 2 goals in the match. Soccer returns home this Friday for another SEC match against Missouri at 7 p.m. In addition to being named SEC Offensive Player of the Week, Kristen Dodson was also named the NCAA Women's National Player of the Week. Dodson had 4 goals, including 2 game winners and 2 assists over the weekend. Volleyball hosted the LSU Tigers in the Auburn Arena this past Friday. Will be hungry for another victory when they travel to Starksville this Friday to face Mississippi State. The match is set for 7 p.m. Last week, Equestrian galloped into the season, defeating Ole Miss 18-2. This week, they'll be on the road to square up against Tennessee Martin. Auburn will be back home in 2 weeks to compete against Texas A&M. Want more sports updates throughout the week? We've got you covered. Just like us on Facebook at Eagle Eye TV and catch Tiger Tally on Friday mornings. We'll be right back. Auburn Tigers soccer took on their second SEC opponent Sunday night at the Auburn Soccer Complex. The Tigers faced the South Carolina Gamecocks in a match that was a battle to the end. The Tigers led the match in both shots and corner kicks, but ultimately fell to the Gamecocks 1-0. The lone goal of the match came at the 29th minute when South Carolina's Savannah McCaskill headed the ball into the net. Fans poured into the stands after being fed barbecue by Auburn men's basketball coach Bruce Pearl. The fans also stayed through periods of rain and cheered the Tigers on throughout the night. Bree Folds led the Tigers with 4 shots on the night. The Tigers battled to the very end, having 7 shots on goal in the second half alone. The Tigers returned to action in a 2-match road trip series, first against Florida on Thursday and then Georgia on Sunday. For Eagle Eye Sports, I'm Sarah Palczewski.
The biggest surprise on my team has actually come from my bench. My Bills defense, who would have thought they'd be better than the Seattle Seahawks defense? So they've almost tripled their score compared to the Seahawks. So if you can't tell, the Bills are going to be my starting defense from now on. My team's either going to be very good or very bad. It all depends on my wide receiving core and my running back core, which is very up and down week to week. And I never know what week they're going to actually play well. I think this is going to be a tough matchup. I feel like both teams have been playing at an equal level, both underperforming. But I'm going to have to go with the 49ers. The Arizona Cardinals haven't looked good, especially under Carson Palmer, who's also had a concussion problem. So we'll see, but I'm going to go in with the 49ers. I'm going to have to go with Alabama. They look very powerful throughout the season. I don't think Arkansas can contest with them. I'm going with the Tide. I'm going to have to go with the University of North Carolina. Go Heels. Their defense looks so outstanding this season, especially after a huge win against Florida State. I think they can make an even bigger impact in the ACC against Virginia Tech this week. With Hurricane Matthew coming into town this season, I think the Hurricanes are going to beat Florida State. Florida State looks way too up and down this season. They haven't been consistent. I think Miami can prove a big point in this game and come out on top. This is a really hard one to pick. If Tennessee comes out on top, they'll be the only team that contend against Alabama. But Texas A&M looks really good on defense and on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to have to go with Texas A&M. I think Trevor McKnight looks way too good. And I think they'll beat kind of almost inconsistent during games Volunteers team. Trevor rivalry, I have to go with Texas. Although they had been inconsistent, they have pulled off some wins. And I have to say, hook 'em, go Horns for friends in Texas. But I've watched Texas play, and I just think it's just going to be Texas.
Is that why you're wearing this color for Texas?
Well, this is another tough college team matchup this week, but I'm going to have to go with Auburn on the road in their first road game. The offense looks really good after the last 2 games, and it looks like with Rhett Lashley's play calling, they might finally have their offense down at least well enough to go out in Mississippi State and win.